Hi, everybody. We're back. We have LaNese Harris. She is the multimedia director at JPA Health. LaNese and I go way back many years. And it's she's moved back to the DC area, and we are having a wonderful time catching up. LaNese, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you, Matt. I am doing very well, and I'm so happy to be back in the DMV area. Like, I went back home to Atlanta for 5 years, but I went back knowing that DC is where I want to be, and I'm going to come back. And I did, and I'm just thankful that I was allowed the opportunity to get back.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, there's something that kind of gets in your bones about it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's cool. When I heard you were coming back, I was like, oh yeah, it's some good stuff. And I know when you were in Atlanta, we had, talked and tried doing stuff, and it's
all about budget, man.
Well, yeah. But like, I love staying in touch with people. You know, you make these connections, and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun. You know, I like this person.
Our connections that we made with our former employer. Can I say it?
Yeah.
I said at CNN. It's nice that we really had some great friendships, and people have been able to reconnect over the years when we transition to different industries, because you'll get a scope of work and you'll be like, oh yeah, Matt would be perfect for this. Let me see. And then you try to work it out. Sometimes it goes and it's successful. And in some other instances, It's just like, not this time, but it's great to have had that background to great people where we first, started with CNN.
Yeah. Well, I'll give a little bit of that background. So when we were at CNN, so I was in the design department. LaNese was in an editor, and she was, just a killer editor. And so when we transitioned, this was a long time ago, from, I forget what it was, tape to Final Cut to Adobe or something, like just going through all those growing pains together. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Figuring out how that all worked out was really a lot of fun. It's fun looking back on it now, maybe more so than it was in
the process, but now we learned a lot. We learned a lot, and your department incorporated some great ideas and just workflows for the departments that was needed,
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's a different beast way back in the day. So
totally different today.
Right. Now we got everything on the cloud, and don't even need CDs and any of that stuff anymore. So yeah. Well, so listen. So you're no longer an editor, which is awesome. Congrats! Like,
thank you.
Leaving some of that, getting in the chair behind you.
Been putting my management hat on these days.
Well, so on that note, our consistent question throughout with this whole positive mischief this thing is, how would you describe your job to a 7-year-old?
I am a multimedia director, and what that means is I help research vendors to help support productions for television shows, for commercials, for brands, for ads. And I also plan for budgets and production and finding the right equipment. So my job is a lot of behind the scenes, but it's a lot of overseeing. It's a lot of managing the different parts, but it's been fun being on the business side.
Yeah. So do you like managing?
I don't like managing people. I like managing the productions.
So what don't you like about managing people? What's been like?
It can be difficult because people, there are people who really have strong work ethics, and there are other people who don't have strong work ethics. So what I should say, I don't like managing people when I know that person is complicated and they really don't want to be there. They're there to collect a check. And when you try to push them outside of their creative box, they are a little hesitant, they're a lot hesitant.
Yeah.
But, I am in a different atmosphere. I was working for local government before taking on this job with JPA Health. And so I found that people had been in their jobs for a while at my former job, and they were frustrated. So it was just really hard to get them inspired. I took them from only just packaging pieces to actually going live, doing live events when we were tasked to do so. And it was like pulling teeth. You thought I was asking people for their firstborn. But when they realized it could be done, I think after the first production, We did it, and it went well. And it's, you don't consider a local city government doing production and going live, but they have live events. They had virtual events due to COVID and after COVID. So it was a lot of production, and you definitely needed to have a background in the field to execute the things that they were requiring, especially during COVID.
So how have you found channeling creativity or getting them to think creatively? Like what's been a hurdle for that? You talk about, feeling like someone's there to collect the paycheck, but you still need them. You want to get the most out of them creatively. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, how have you figured out some things that work?
For my last team, it was just one or two apples. They were just wanting to stay doing the same thing over and over. And, you got to breathe new life into productions and bring new ideas. You keep doing the same thing over and over, it gets stale. Nobody wants to tune in. But again, after we had a couple of meetings as a production crew, and, I always feel like you need to listen to your staff. I do that. Let them bring some ideas, but also hold them responsible for those ideas and some roles, But again, after that first live production, everybody was like, they were happy that we executed it well, So
it's sort of like
it was that
show.
fear. It was kind of like, let that fear get in the way of you actually moving forward to do the job. And when we were doing it, it went well. And
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I say it's this idea that if you can tackle that fear, if you can be like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Walk with me through this, okay?
Right.
And let me show you that this is not something to be afraid of. It's going to be difficult, but when we're done, it's going to be really cool. So
and
there is something about that.
Difficult. It really wasn't difficult. I just think they got in their heads about it, two people. And so they became the difficult apples. But once they saw that things were rolling and technically things were aligned and we were doing it, then they got excited. It's the craziest thing, But a part of fear is sometimes you have to do the job. Even when you have fear, you just got to keep moving forward.
Well, success breeds confidence.
Yes, exactly. It does. It truly does.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So I think now that with you are at JPA, there's this idea of like, maybe there's not as many bad apples or a little. Do you feel a little bit like in a different spot? You're like, this is a group that kind of has their act together.
I think this group is inspired by the work we're doing. First, I built my team. I was able to come in and build this team. And they are inspired by the work that we're doing. We are a health communications firm. So not only are we developing campaigns for products that help people in the long run and their families, but we are encouraging, inspiring families to do better within their health, whether it's fitness, whether it's eating, and just any type of rare diseases that a family may find that they are dealing with a loved one. The health communications field, the why is because we're helping people. We're informing people of how to get better. We're informing people what to do to get better, providing resources. So those campaigns are inspiring alone. I was working on a IBD campaign, which is all about your gut, gastro things. I don't want to get into too many details, but you never really understand what people are dealing with that sit across from you. They can look healthy, but they may be dealing with some things and you don't even know about it. So it was nice to introduce some participants who were willing to tell their stories and share their journeys of how they've been dealing with IBD.
Yeah.
So, anytime people can really be genuine and authentic and open up to share their stories, other people get to learn and get a different perspective. Like, oh, I didn't realize that, So you don't really know that people are having some real health struggles until they share their stories. And even somebody new could be coming into the community suffering for the first time, and they hear these stories and they find these resources, and then they find a connection.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, there's something too about doing something that you love, something you believe in, something that you feel is helping people. And I think that also, like, success breeds confidence. I think that breeds confidence as well.
Yeah.
When you really are engaged in it. And this notion of not knowing what somebody's dealing with, it's powerful. We often get in our little bubbles and think that whatever we're doing is the most important thing. And, it goes from, look, and you've lived in DC long enough, and you've done this thing like, metro or driving or anything like that. Like, just, we're in a rush. We're in a hurry. We want to get somewhere. And guess what? There's the family that's on vacation. They don't know where they're going. They're on the wrong side of the metro escalator. Like, there's somebody in the car, and
everybody's always rushing.
Yeah. And so, like, we just get upset, get frustrated, and some of it's justified, but some of it, you just don't have a clue. And I think that there's something about patience. There's something about, trying to be understanding. But I think at the same time, there's also something about wanting to educate people too. It's we don't want the world to live in, blind ignorance of social norms and things like that. But at the same time, you want to be aware of, like, hey, I don't know what's going on in this person's life. Maybe they just had a really bad episode of whatever.
Just don't be rude.
Thing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool. And I love that idea of working on something that inspires, but also educates in a way. It's like, hey, you know what? Like, there's a lot going on in people's lives, and we just don't really know. So how can I be someone who's going to extend some grace? Because, look, grace is powerful. So,